Hello and welcome to the CUFI UK podcast for Zion's sake. My name is Alastair. This is Alex.
Hello.
And in today's podcast, your party's anti-Semitism. No, not your parties, or all your parties. But the new UK political party called Your Party, which is currently fighting over who is the most anti-Israel within the party.
That's right. We're also looking at some anti-Israel protests that have been taking place in different events in Ireland, for example, in Brussels, in London, and even New York. And in Brussels, a Christian Christmas market was targeted by anti-Israel protesters, and they even stole the head of baby Jesus from the nativity.
That's right. But good news is that through CUFI events, the Lord is touching people's hearts in relation to why it is important, necessary to stand with Israel and the Jewish people. We discuss that. Plus, please let us know your thoughts about any of the topics that we discussed today in the section below.
So, Alastair, we're here after 3 weeks of being away, and
Yes.
It's been because we've been so busy, actually. We've had lots of projects here at the office, and also you've been on your travels around the country, and even to Spain, where you've been telling people about why Christians should stand with Israel.
That's right. CUFI has been on the road. It's been wonderful to connect with so many CUFI supporters across the country. As you say, we've held meetings in the northeast of England, in Middlesbrough and in Hull, and also in the West Midlands, in Dudley. And as you say, sandwiched in between that, CUFI, we've also been in Spain.
Yeah, in Alicante.
Yeah.
Tell us about Spain then, because Spain was a bit different to the other meetings because you were meeting with pastors, weren't you?
Well, it was the first time that CUFI has had a meeting in Spain. So that's a wonderful thing. We believe that, seeds have been planted there, and it was a very kind invitation of a church in Alicante that invited CUFI to come and speak to local pastors and church leadership in Alicante, and also to share with the church congregation as well in the same weekend. So it was a whistle-stop visit to Alicante, but it's wonderful to see what God is doing and to see a love for Israel, and some of those, pastors and church leaders, it was perhaps a message which they might not have heard necessarily before. And for others, it was really just encouraging, the body of Christ and those leaders to take up that mantle of standing with Israel in their church. But yes, a wonderful CUFI supporting, Israel loving church in Alicante that invited us. And yes, we've laid a foundation there now in Spain, which, considering the challenges that Spain has been facing of late with, a prime minister that is very outspokenly anti-Israel, with concern to where the direction the country is taking in terms of the Spain-Israel relationship. We have to believe that, God is going before us, and that this was a very timely visit.
Yeah.
And so I was very blessed by that opportunity to be able to speak there.
Yeah, no, that's really good. And we know, obviously, as Christians, we sort of hold on to the same truths, whether we're in the UK, Spain, Nigeria, wherever. It's a universal belief that we have, and so we all share those same beliefs. So,
and same challenges as well.
Yeah,
with the church. The church is, and the way in which replacement theology has had a devastating impact, I would say, in terms of misleading so many Christians here in the UK. In terms of having a proper understanding of Israel and our relationship with the Jewish people. And I think some of those same things happening in Spain.
Yeah.
But I was really encouraged to see the warmth and to see the openness and the reception from those who I met. And it's also good to know that there's a CUFI supporting church in Spain as well.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
and they are long time. They've been connected with us for a long time, but it was the first time we actually went out to see them, which is really good. And likewise with the churches that you went to here in the UK, you've been invited by various churches.
Yes,
in different ways.
Yes, in different ways. So when we go out on the road, it is normally by invitation of a church leadership, and that was the case with most of those visits. There was one exception, and that was in Hull, actually, where CUFI supporter felt quite isolated, quite alone in their own support for Israel in the surrounding area, and actually found a venue and a church that was open to receive CUFI, and we were so glad and appreciative for that, and we've been very thankful for their support in enabling it. But it started off with this lady who is a CUFI supporter, not knowing what step to take first, found the venue, invited us. We then promoted it. She also promoted it as well, and we held an event, and it was wonderful to see so many CUFI supporters both in Hull and in the surrounding areas of that part of Yorkshire. So that again just shows what you can do when you feel like God is leading you to do something, and what seemed impossible task to her, she would admit that what seemed to be impossible actually came to fruition after a number of months of knocking on doors and trying to make it happen. So what I would say is to those who are listening and watching is that if you would like CUFI to come and speak at your church about why Christians should stand with Israel, then please approach your church leadership, or if you are a church leader or you have the authority to make that decision, please do invite us and we will come. And in the case of these meetings which we've been going to, we've extended that invitation to other CUFI supporters in the area as well. So as well as those who, you might just be a few in your church, but we can invite it out as well to other people. And so, please do. We would love to come to your area. And perhaps you have a vision for it, but you don't quite know what location to use. We can liaise and talk and make something happen. Because we need to get this message out for the whole country.
100%,
and that's why I was so excited, the past 2 weeks, to be on the road, getting this message out. And I think it is so important, and it's also spiritually, I think, important as well. We're, it might seem like these are small numbers of gatherings of people coming together, but I believe that we are, we're claiming the ground, we're claiming authority, we're taking the ground back. This country has been saturated with things which are against God, anti-Semitism, Jew hatred. And we want to take the ground back for his cause.
Definitely. And I think, yes, for people listening, you may think, I've only got a small prayer group, there's only 5 of us that meet. Even that sort of number, if you can find a venue and we can promote it, there is a possibility we can make that number bigger and have a big meeting in an area that we haven't covered before. Because we are literally willing to travel anywhere as long as there is a group and a venue for us to meet.
Absolutely. I mean, it's amazing. So many of the invitations over the last few months have actually been East Midlands and Northeast of England.
Yeah.
And we've not planned that.
No. And we're obviously in the South, but we're happy to travel anywhere. So,
but we're happy to travel. Yeah. But what I'm saying is it's amazing what God's doing in different parts of the country. And so we're, it's exciting.
Definitely. So obviously a lot of the people that we speak to are either pro-Israel or they're CUFI supporters already, but it's a way of us encouraging people, spreading the message, helping to, galvanize support for CUFI. But at the same time, there's also examples of people having their hearts changed because of the message.
I've noticed this especially more recently.
Yeah.
I could give a few stories, but I don't want to mention specific stories. But one thing I will say is that there was more than one conversation that I had with those that attended these events who said that they came with anti-Israel, anti-Jewish prejudices and that the Lord spoke to them directly, spoke to their heart directly. And that was such an encouragement. And it's the power of the Word of God.
Yeah.
Because when we present the case for why Christians should stand with Israel, we begin with the Bible. And, the Word of God is more powerful, than a two-edged sword.
Yeah.
And we have to believe that, it's not us, and, it is the power of His Word. And when our stand with Israel is based on the Bible, it actually then disarms all these other sort of thoughts, prejudices, political naiveties, and actually getting back to the source.
Yeah.
And I can testify firsthand that there were some who spoke to me who said they have never heard about the biblical reasons for standing with Israel in the way that they've heard it, and said that God has changed their heart about it. And that was within the space of a meeting.
Yeah.
And although we believe that God is using CUFI as a vessel and as an instrument for that, it does actually show that perhaps there's also a lack of biblical teaching coming from the pulpits in Britain, because all we are doing is not all we are doing.
Yeah.
We're giving a scope of, but we are speaking from what the Bible says, not what I say, not my opinion, but what His Word says, and it convicts. The Word of God convicts.
Exactly.
And it was quite emotional, actually, because it had gone from being, because I always say, like so many people, they form their theology based on what they see in the news or what
how they feel,
perceive it. Whereas actually, we need to form our theology based on the Bible, and then all the other things, political, things and things pertaining to the conflict, they will either fall into place and be answered, or at least we will have a better biblical perspective of the things which might not otherwise make sense.
Yeah, exactly. And I think looking at these things, and this is something, by the way, you and Des, you're the main two people that go out and speak around the country, and both of you have the same sort of stories of people saying, I've never heard this message before, and having their hearts changed. But I think what you're saying there is, when people who are believers, they're submitting already to the Word of God, they might just not have a biblical understanding of Israel, and therefore they are prone to being manipulated by the media, by the activists on the street, by the anti-Israel sort of sentiment there. And actually, it's the Word of God that breaks them down, because they are submitted to God. They are submitted to the Word of God, but they just need to be told in order to help break down that barrier. And so I do think, there is hope there for the church, because we all know people who are Christians, who love God, who don't understand it with Israel sort of thing. There's just that, and like even we do, even as pro-Israel Christians. But I do think that when there are many Bible-believing Christians who, yes, might not have a revelation of Israel, but if they have surrendered fully to Jesus Christ and have humbled themselves, then actually the ground is much more fertile. Definitely.
The encounters which I've had in the past, which have been more difficult, please don't misunderstand me, but there is almost a hardening of heart towards the things of the Bible, and that makes it harder. But I spoke with one gentleman who said that at the beginning of the year, God had placed in his heart to pray for the nation and to pray for Israel, but admitted that he was not knowledgeable in Israel, didn't truly understand the biblical reasons why, but it was on his heart to pray for Israel. And then he said that after the meeting, he said, now I know why. And that is in contrast to other encounters that we might have with those who are quoting a Bible that they don't believe in.
Yes, yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So
we see that all
like
the time.
The heart, and it is a heart issue. Yeah. Anti-Semitism is a heart issue, and I believe that there are many well-meaning Christians up and down the country who might not necessarily be fully awakened to the need to stand with Israel.
Yeah.
But the ground is there, and we need to get this message out, and we need to keep speaking the truth.
Yeah.
And it's like the word which lands on stony ground and on good ground. And if you remember that parable where the birds stole the seed, did you notice that the birds didn't steal the seed from the good soil?
Mm.
It was only from the rocky, stony ground.
Mm.
So actually, the enemy cannot steal the word which is on fertile ground.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, no, that's a great analogy there. So, yeah, it's really encouraging to see that, because that is what CUFI is all about. We're trying to spread the truth to help reveal the truth to people who have softened hearts. And it's not up to us how that happens. It's up to God. You know, we're trusting him that the message we're putting out there will impact people. But it is so encouraging to us when we hear that is taking effect. And we're having that up and down the country. I mean, we're contacted almost every week with people saying, you know, I never heard about you guys before. I watched a podcast, or I read an article, or I listened to this, and then now I want to support you because you've changed my perspective on it, or you've, God has really spoken to me that I want to support you, etc., etc. And yeah, but when it's face to face, it's different than obviously receiving an email or something. But even so, all of those things encourage us and help us to realize this is what it's all about. That's what we're doing.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think it's important that we understand that even though there is a lot of anti-Israel sentiment within the church, our focus primarily is the church, because you know, we're not going to convince a Muslim man to believe the Bible when he doesn't even believe the Bible's real. We're not going to convince an atheist to believe that God gave the land of Israel to the Jewish people when he doesn't believe the Bible. But actually, with a Christian, they are believing the Bible. And so that's our mission field. That's our battleground sort of thing. And we're spreading the truth there. But I think going back to sort of the animosity and things that there are in the country, moving on to different subjects now, you still experience that, even like passively.
Well, yes. I mean, this was kind of a prompt to me, because I'd only just arrived in Middlesbrough just before this meeting. I wasn't in the church car park, but I pulled up in the car park, and the van that was parked in the space right next to me had a Palestinian flag drawn on it, a swastika, and a Star of David. And that, for me, was just like, okay, I literally just been here an hour.
Yeah.
And I know this isn't like representative, I'm sure, of the town, because I didn't get that impression at all. But it was almost like just a reminder of the battle which is going on, which is on scene in a way.
Yeah.
And,
that's exactly when you sent the picture of it to me on that day. It was like it prompted me to pray for you, actually, because this is a spiritual battle. And I thought to myself at the time, actually, there could be someone who's anti-Israel there, that sort of thing, even though it was not at the place you were actually speaking. But I thought to myself that, it's more than a coincidence. And hopefully, that was one of the meetings where, I don't know if that was one of the meetings where people had their hearts changed. I'm not sure. But so we can't actually escape it. Someone on our team actually was walking in the middle of the Highlands of Scotland on a few-hour walk, and they were like literally in the middle of nowhere, and they found on a bridge. I can't actually open it. I've ripped it now. Oh dear! Oh dear! I've ripped it.
What a shame!
Yeah. Anyway, it says, "Show."
Sure, that will be edited.
Yeah. The show Israeli genocide, the red card, and it was So what I'm trying to say is, like, even on holiday, on a walk in the middle of the Highlands of Scotland, we still see messages of hatred against Israel, and it's something actually we can't escape. Like we noticed it. We noticed it. We notice it every time we go into a major city, especially London. You will not miss a Palestinian flag. You will see even like ripped hostages flags. There's a time where we went to Oxford recently to show family around, and there were just Palestinian flags everywhere over one of the main picture places we want to take a picture of, and we just couldn't take pictures because of all the Palestinian flags. It's like you almost can't escape it now.
No.
But at the same time, I think for those watching, you know, prayer warriors, watchmen on the walls, and also for us here at CUFI, we're all, it's almost like we're in a spiritual battle and we need to be aware of it, because this isn't going away anytime soon. And, you know, I just think it's just emblematic of that. We have to be aware, and we shouldn't use the sort of the red card thing, or you're, you know, seeing that daubed on the van as being scary or offensive or anything, but actually it's sort of prompting us to keep praying and keep fighting, because actually it's now more than ever that we need to actually speak the truth.
Absolutely.
Especially as we're going to now talk about the new political party that is rising up, which is probably the most anti-Israel party that we have in the country right now. So.
I tell you what, I mean, it's becoming quite a contest, isn't it, for the most anti-Israel party?
Yeah.
This is your party. Well, no, not Alex's party.
Yeah,
if
it's your party.
It's your party.
Yeah.
No, it's your party.
No, it's your party.
Oh, no, it's your party.
It's a very confusing name. Yes.
So for those who might be listening internationally, we're not gone too crazy at the moment. The new party has been named Your Party. And it is kind of spearheaded by Jeremy Corbyn, who we've spoken to at length, and also Zara Sultana. And it was their first ever, is their inaugural party conference that took place at the weekend. And they are already debating between themselves, Jeremy Corbyn and Zara Sultana, about who is the most anti-Zionist.
Yeah.
You could not make it up.
Yeah.
I mean, there's been a lot in the news about them not seeing eye to eye on a number of issues.
Yeah.
It is extreme left wing. I mean, Sultana wants to nationalize absolutely everything that moves, including the internet. She said she wants to put the internet in government control, which will make Facebook interesting.
Yeah.
But anyway, but the point is that they have about loggerheads basically about who is the most anti-Zionist. So Zara Sultana has said, basically has called for the end of the, quote, genocidal apartheid state of Israel. So she's basically called for Israel to be wiped out.
Yep.
And she said, we must sever all ties with the genocidal apartheid state of Israel. We must expel the ambassador and shut down the embassy and stand with the Palestinian people until every inch of their land is free from the river to the sea. So, because from the river to the sea is calling for Israel to be wiped out.
Yep.
Sultana added, I am an anti-Zionist, and if we fight for it, your party will be an anti-Zionist party. There you go. So she has staked her claim as being the most anti-Zionist.
I don't know why I find that funny, but it's like like your party, but actually she probably wants every party. Yeah, your party and your party.
Well, anyway, Jeremy Corbyn, right, has come under criticism for not being anti-Zionist enough. And of course, Corbyn, with his track record of previous
calling Hamas his friends,
etc., didn't use that as an opportunity to take some steps back. He instead went on the attack, saying, "I'm fed up with being painted into a corner of being seen as a pro-Zionist." Saying, what do you think I've been doing with my life?
It's like, that is quite funny.
That's literally what he said. What do you think I've been doing all my life?
Yeah, literally, he is anti-Zionist. And this is the thing. I mean, there's two ways of thinking about this. First of all, it shows that what he is doing is not enough for some of these radical people, because they want him to say, I want the destruction of Israel.
Yes.
But he's being diplomatic, basically saying, Israel has a right to exist and all this stuff, which actually is what he had to do during the Labour, when he was leader of Labour, because he had to sort of appease different voices, obviously.
Yes.
Whereas, Yeah, so it's just one of those things. But I also think, for many years, we actually focused a lot on Jeremy Corbyn. I personally did a lot of research into what Jeremy Corbyn's about, and I know categorically he is anti-Zionist. I personally would argue that he is anti-Semitic, although I don't think he would agree to that. And in the traditional sense, he would say he is friends with the Jews and so forth. But I do think he is he's anti-Jewish belief. He's anti-Jewish. He applies Jewish conspiracy theories because he does believe that Jews control things. There are certain comments that he's made in speeches and so forth where he has spoken about that. But he's not explicit. He's very careful how he words it. Anyway, for years we saw Jeremy Corbyn as sort of numero uno in terms of the anti-Israel movement, and now he is not anti-Zionist enough. So for us, we probably have to wake up and go, hang on a second. If Corbyn is now being called a Zionist, then the people to the extreme of him are even not even just bad news. That's like wake up call time. These people literally hate Israel, hate the Jews. Like Zara Sultana said, she wants Israel wiped out from the river to the sea. That is a genocidal claim. It's an ethnic cleansing. Yeah. All the things that they claim Israel is doing, they themselves are trying to promote towards Israel, and they want to see Israel wiped off the face of the earth. Yeah. So, I mean, maybe Corbyn's having a wake-up call as well, that he is now an extremist.
Yeah, but anyway, we thought we'd highlight that because it has been in the news a lot, and but perhaps this particular issue hasn't been highlighted enough. Yeah, that they are currently arguing between themselves about how anti-Zionist they can lower themselves to.
Yeah, exactly.
So, shall we move on to Ireland? And let's begin with the situation in the Republic of Ireland right now. We already know that the relationship between the Republic of Ireland and Israel is already strained. Yep. Of course, the Israeli embassy was shut by the Irish government in Dublin. Israeli Foreign Minister Gideon Saar has said that Ireland has become the world's, quote, capital of anti-Semitism. And this very latest thing is more concern as well, because the Dublin City Council, under pressure or under petition, to say, of the pro-Palestinian groups, have proposed to rename Herzog Park, which is in Dublin, and to rename it the Free Palestine Park.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. Now, you might well ask, why is it called the Herzog Park?
Why is it called the Herzog Park?
Well, that's a very good question, Alex. It's called the Herzog Park because it is named after Israel's sixth president, Chaim Herzog. Now, Chaim Herzog was actually born in Belfast. He was brought up in Dublin. His father was Ireland's chief rabbi, and then actually became Israel's first chief rabbi. And Chaim Herzog's son is Israel's president today, Isaac Herzog. So in 1995, Dublin honoured Chaim Herzog and his father, the former chief rabbi, by naming the park after him to recognise his tremendous contribution in the fight against anti-Semitism, his legacy, and also his Irish heritage as well, and the links to the Jewish community. And this park is in a predominantly Jewish area as well. Just to recognise his Jewish roots and the amazing connection between the Republic of Ireland and Israel. So this is the park which the anti-Semitic, pro-Palestinian lobby groups have now targeted, and to their shame, Dublin Council has entertained it. Yeah. Now, the Irish government, the actual Irish government, have intervened and have said, do not do this. So it has gone to a council vote, and rather than just binning it, the council has now voted to delay it and to put it to further committee. So this is not over. It's absolutely shocking, and quite frankly, it's shameful.
Yeah, and obviously, it's not as big a deal as obviously shutting the embassy, doing an arms embargo against Israel, recognising a Palestinian state, all the other things that the Republic of Ireland government has done, and more. They're pursuing Israel in the courts, going to the ICC, the ICJ, and all the rest of it. But it is just one of those things that's emblematic of the anti-Israel movement. It's a hate movement. There's no two ways about it.
It's symbolic, though.
Yes, of course.
I mean, let's face it. The Romans renamed Judea Palestina.
Yeah, exactly.
And look where that got us.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not saying that this quite has the same the same gravity, except to say that anti-Semites are intent on removing all Jewish connections to valid Jewish connections, to basically delegitimize and remove. It's a spiritual matter, because the Bible warns about Israel's enemies, saying that they will try and wipe Israel
off the face of the earth,
to be remembered no more.
Exactly.
And you can look at that militarily, which I think it is referring to militarily, but undercurrent is the spiritual aspect, which we see through replacement theology, false teaching, which is to remove Israel biblically, from our biblical understanding. And the same thing is, it's to remove. They want to replace Israel from the river to the sea, from out of our consciousness and memory. The fact is that, that park was dedicated to an Irish Jewish man and his family who contributed towards Dublin society,
in a positive
community,
way,
and to Irish community in a positive way. And then went and did something absolutely extraordinary by coming from that small Jewish community in Dublin to becoming the president of the state of Israel.
Yeah,
that is something to be proud of. And whether or not you're in favour of that or not, actually, is part of your history.
Exactly. Yeah, of that,
and to remove it.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. It's like, it's emblematic of the movement. What they're trying to do. You're 100% right. They're trying to erase Israel and the Jewish people in every way, shape, or form. And I think actually every story we talk about, whether it is trying to wipe Israel off the face of the map or to wipe the name of an Israeli president off the name of a park, it's exactly the same thing. And just imagine, put yourself in the shoes of that Jewish community.
Yeah.
Imagine if you are your Jewish family, you're proudly walking around Herzog Park, because this is a place dedicated to a Jewish man who was a benefit to the community. And if they do rename it to Free Palestine Park, every time they walk around there, they're going to be thinking, I'm now walking around a park dedicated to people who want to wipe me and my family off the face of the earth.
It is also located near the Republic of Ireland's only Jewish elementary and high schools.
So it's absolutely
think of all those
incredible.
Jewish families. And also non-Jewish families as well. It's part of their history, and actually to understand the Jewish contribution to their city also has a great value. So
and that's why I said it that way, because people might think to themselves, they've done a lot worse, Ireland has, but actually this is still something which is impacting the Jewish community.
Yeah.
It's something, and the thing is, we just shouldn't give in to hate. We just shouldn't in any way give in to this. And the council entertaining
on your way to school, school through a Free Palestine Park.
I know.
Now, I don't actually think the Free Palestine name will stick.
Yeah,
but it's certainly not off the table in terms of actually renaming it.
Yeah, and it's sad. And I mean, when you think about it, there's probably a lot of parks out there with Free Palestine stickers on them. Probably a lot of Free Palestine parks out there when you think about it.
Well, our colleague is going around them right now, tearing them down.
Yeah, exactly.
This is what our colleagues do in their spare time.
Yeah,
right?
on holiday.
They go on holiday all the way to the Highlands to remove stickers, bless them.
So, but that's the thing. It's like, I think it's just emblematic of that. And the fact it's being entertained, the fact... But unfortunately, like you were saying about the seeds and the ground and so forth, the ground is fertile in the Republic of Ireland for this anti-Semitic hatred, because it comes from the top. It is there in their government. It is being pronounced by their leaders. I mean, the former president of Ireland, at a Holocaust remembrance service spoke about, about the Palestinians and so forth, and completely insulted the memory of the Holocaust. Yeah, so I think from the top down, unfortunately, this is what's happening. But it's also global. It's also across all nations. It's in all parts of the UK. We're seeing it from different councils and so forth. And another council that's doing a bad move is up in Belfast.
That's right. And we must just point out, we do appreciate all of the messages which remind us that Northern Ireland is different to the Republic of Ireland, and has a huge support for Israel in Northern Ireland. But it does have its problems. In fact, right now, Belfast City Council made the decision to erect a Palestinian flag above Belfast City Hall.
Yeah, exactly.
It has caused a reaction.
Yeah.
And I think we agree that there should be a reaction.
Yes,
because it is unacceptable that Belfast City Hall, knowing the fact that there is such a large support for Israel as well.
Yeah.
And considering also the extra dynamic of there having been a history of sectarianism, that Belfast should make this provocative decision. Yeah,
exactly. So, the Palestinian flag was erected over the Belfast City Hall because it was actually a proposal by Sinn Féin political party, which is pro the Republic of Ireland, and it won a vote 32 to 28 votes, so a very close vote. And the Northern Irish people have protested against it. So obviously, even though the council has done this, it doesn't mean it's popular with the public, because there is, as you say, a lot of pro-Israel support within Northern Ireland. And so what this actually is, what the controversy is, because of the protests against it.
Yeah.
And thinking about it, I mean, this is their city hall. A lot of people actually think that city halls, the only flags that should be raised are the ones of the country, not of other countries. But for this to be happening during Christmas time, where there's a Christmas market on display and so forth, it's just the wrong timing for a lot of people. Well, for me, it's the wrong timing ever. But it just shows actually that, when these votes are made, councils are quite often at odds with the public when they do it. We see it here in the UK. There's a lot of times where the council will make a decision and it doesn't reflect the will of the people. And so I don't think the council itself should be sort of a stain on Northern Ireland on this front, because, like we said, Northern Ireland and the Republic of Ireland are very different in terms of their governments, because Belfast is part of the United Kingdom, the UK. So the UK government recognised a Palestinian state. And actually what Sinn Féin did in this was they were jumping on the back of that decision and saying, well, since we've just recognised a Palestinian state, let's put up a flag. And so it was actually delayed slightly because of sort of politics, that sort of thing. And now it's gone up over the Christmas time period. But it just shows it's a deeply divisive thing within Northern Ireland.
Yeah,
and so
it is. And it goes back actually to the decision that the UK government made. It's galvanized, it's sort of energized that pro-Palestinian
sentiment. And councils around the country, whether it's in Northern Ireland, Republic of Ireland, whether it's in the UK, London, wherever, all the time we're seeing councils make pro-Palestinian decisions, putting flags up here, there and everywhere, allowing protests, pro-Palestinian protests. I mean, one of those protests actually was, in the last couple of weeks, there was a Jewish synagogue that was targeted. And on the side of the synagogue... In London, it was a London synagogue. It was targeted because they were having a pro-Israel message there, where they were talking about Aliyah, of Jews making Aliyah to Israel. And it was just explaining to the congregants how you can go about that process. And there's many reasons why Jews might be thinking about making Aliyah, and one of them is because of this growing hatred and anti-Semitism. And so what do the anti-Israel brigade do? They go to that synagogue, intimidate people. I mean, there was children's events going on at the synagogue at the time. There was one parent who there was one congregant who wasn't even allowed to go to enter the synagogue because police stopped him. Police weren't moving these protesters away from a synagogue, and yet these are places of worship where they should not be targeted. And obviously this is in light of the fact that there's been the Manchester attack where Jews were literally murdered going to synagogue.
So just to add to that, that particular, let's just also recognize the fact that Aliyah is a Jewish movement in the sense that it isn't just relocating and emigrating. It is it is formed within Jewish belief. Yeah. So
they're fulfilling God's.
So actually, this is anti-Semitic.
Yes.
And not just because of that reason, but also because this is a place of worship where Jews are congregating, and they decide to take their pro-Palestinian protest against Jews. And there were Jews who were congregants who were trying to get into the synagogue. The police they said there's nothing actually we can do, to stop this protest. And so there were special zones, but the video shows that zone was breached. And when police were asked, it's on video that police officers said, well, actually, we don't want to inflame the situation.
Yeah, and it's pathetic. They were not defending the Jewish people. And one of the messages projected onto the wall of the synagogue was stolen land sold here. And obviously, the Palestinian activists, Palestinians believe that Jews are stealing their land. But ultimately, this is part of, like you said, Jewish belief. It is in their Jewish, Christian and Jewish belief, I should say, that Jews own the land of Israel. It was given to them by God Almighty. They're commanded to live in the land, to dwell in the land, to, be in the land. And there's sort of this catch-22 situation going on, because the reason why they're talking about Aliyah is because of anti-Semitism. There's growing anti-Semitism in the UK, and therefore Jews are being compelled to leave the UK and go back to Israel, go back to their homeland. At the same time, the people who want the Jews, who are anti-Semitic towards the Jews, they're giving them every reason to make Aliyah, right? Because they're outside intimidating them and scaring them. But at the same time, they're saying, we hate you, but also you're not allowed to go to Israel because that's not your land, that's stolen land. And if you go to Israel, we want to kill you. And if you leave that land, well, we actually want to kill you everywhere because we want to globalize the Intifada. These activists are giving Jews nowhere to go. They are attacking them, whether it is
Well, I think when we come on to some of the anti-Semitism that has been received through comments here at CUFI over the last 2 weeks, some of their terminology shows that actually there's a certain place which they think Jews should go to, and referring to the Holocaust. Yeah. And I don't say that lightly in reaction to what you're saying, but I actually mean it quite deliberately. Yeah. That they do not want Jews to live safely and securely, whether it is in London or whether it is in Israel.
Yeah. Because, yes, the spirit behind it is the complete eradication of the Jewish people. That is what they are trying to achieve. It is anti-Semitism to its core. And the thing is, the government is not recognizing it. The government is saying things like, after the Manchester attack, like, this can never happen. They bolstered extra security around synagogues. Well, clearly that security isn't enough because the police themselves are powerless, it seems, to stop a protest outside. Now, this is a global issue. What they actually did there at that Jewish synagogue in London was mimicking what happened in New York just weeks after Mamdani won the vote to become the mayor of New York. And it was exactly the same situation. There was an Aliyah event at a synagogue. The protesters went there. And at the time, Mamdani said, basically, the synagogue was supporting war crimes. That's what he said, and it shows that like the left, the way they view Israel is that Israel cannot exist in any part of the land, and even Jews owning land in their ancestral homeland is a war crime, according to a left-wing politician. And I just think it just, and
actually, the police, I believe, do have the powers,
of course,
to set an exclusion zone around a synagogue.
Yeah, because any politician will tell you that no place of worship is allowed to be targeted, whether it's a church, a mosque, a synagogue, a temple, whatever.
Yeah.
No place of worship should be targeted.
Yes.
But I think there is an exception when it comes to Jewish people, because there are there are people in power who don't like the Jewish people. They don't like Israel. They don't like Aliyah. And so they see it as a political thing rather than a religious thing. And they see it as, they sort of rationalize it in their own head that actually it's allowed in this case because this event is not a Jewish event, it's an Aliyah event, or whatever their
It's complete hypocrisy, because, we read of people getting arrested for praying silently outside an abortion clinic.
I know.
Not even protesting, but standing praying silently, and are arrested by UK police.
I know.
And the police contend that it's an exclusion zone that they've put in place. Well, if there's an exclusion zone, I just don't buy this nonsense that the police are saying in terms of they can't do anything to stop anti-Semites from targeting a synagogue with Jewish believers inside it.
I know. If that exclusion zone law persists around abortion clinics, it should exist around places of worship if they want to, implement that. So,
yet I wouldn't actually draw a direct comparison either between the two, because, as I say, this lady was praying silently.
Oh, it's a completely different situation.
So it's completely different, but I'm just reinforcing your point that if they are going to use those powers, then actually they should use it for this.
Yeah, they should use it in the correct way.
Yes, because, in the correct way.
Because it's very different praying in your head silently, which should never be criminalized in any way, shape, or form, regardless of wherever anyone is standing. The same was, with all these things. There was even talk in Scotland where it would, if you lived within the radius, it would be illegal to pray against the abortion clinic in your own home because it would be breaking the law. Like, that's how ridiculous it got. And yet there are literally people there calling for the death of Jews, globalize the Intifada, balaclava covered outside a synagogue, and the police say, well, there's nothing we can do about it. Yeah. It just reeks of hypocrisy. It's evil. Let's be real. It is wrong. It's evil, and the government needs to do more about it. But unfortunately, the hatred, persists around the world. And so, going now to Brussels, there was a Christmas market that opened earlier this week, and Brussels Christmas market. So
you couldn't get anything more Christmassy than a Brussels Christmas market.
Brussels sprout,
Anyway, carry on.
So yes, Brussels market, a Christmas market in Brussels. So this is clearly a Christmas occasion.
Yeah.
Pro-Palestinian activists then targeted a Christmas market and basically disrupted an event which should, again, not be targeted by protest. This is, and let's be real, Christmas markets, they're for everyone. It's not necessarily a religious occasion. It could be just, for that time of year, and it could be, seasonal. But there is Christmas Christian stuff going on there. There's a nativity scene. There's a lot of families there who are gathered. And this was a targeted attack, a provocation against a Christmas market.
It looked really hostile in the videos.
Well, it was, yeah. I mean, they literally were there. They had flares. They were shouting. There's reports from different media channels saying there were families who moved away from the market because they didn't want to get involved in anything. There were children crying, etc. And the crazy thing is, I mean, what you actually see is the media, they're basically shielding these activists. They're protecting them from criticism, because the way they were promoting, different people were saying, it was like, oh, the protest wasn't against the Christmas market. It's just they always held them on a Friday at that area and so forth. Well, why were those activists shouting shame on you at people at the Christmas market? Why was it that a few hours later, the head of the baby Jesus was decapitated and removed from the
stolen,
from the nativity scene there. And the thing is, these are the people who claim that Jesus was a Palestinian. These are the people that claim to defend Christianity and Muslims and Christians live peacefully in the Palestinian territories, etc., etc. That's what they claim, but the reality is very different. And I think this should, again, be a wake-up call to Christians that they see us as the same. It's the same spirit there. It's an anti-God spirit, anti-Christians and Jews. Yeah. And as we say here in CUFI, Pastor Hege says it all the time, if there has to be a line drawn, draw it around Christians and Jews because we are united. Yeah. And I think...
I actually think there are many Christians are hoodwinked because of this Palestinization of the church.
Yes.
And if, that is an illustration, the fact that actually they do not care what you think. It is a complete, it's almost like they've deceived so many Christians, and then eventually the tide will turn, and it will be the Christians that will become the target. And that, I think, is already sort of an illustration of that.
Yeah, exactly. And I think if you look around the Middle East has got rid of its Jewish population. They kicked them out. The Mizrahi Jews, 850,000 of them were, kicked out, ethnically cleansed from around the Middle East. And so because there's no Jews there, there's no Jews being persecuted in many countries of the Middle East because there aren't any Jews there, but Christians are being persecuted.
Yes.
And I think, like you were saying, a lot of the church is appeasing Islam. It's appeasing radical hatred against the Jewish people without realizing that same hatred is against them and against God, right? Yeah. And I think, that's where it is foolish to do this. It's like feeding an alligator and hoping it eats you last, sort of thing. Yes. And that isn't how it should be. We should be standing with the Jewish people.
Yeah, and you're absolutely right, because, those places where there is Christian persecution, if Jews were living there, they would actually be persecuted.
Yeah, 100%.
Yes.
Yeah.
So Israel is the safest place in the Middle East and throughout the world for Jews.
Yeah.
And for Christians. And actually, just referring back to the nativity scene, and the model of the baby Jesus, Jesus, of course, was Jewish.
Yep, exactly.
So it was an anti-Semitic attack and an anti-Christian attack, because it's two sides of the same coin.
Yeah, exactly. And once again, with this story, they were defending the pro-Palestinian protest, saying it wasn't against the Christmas market. Again, the media's been, running cover for the pro-Palestinian activists, saying, a lot of the media actually wasn't reporting that the baby Jesus was beheaded. They were saying that Jesus was stolen. The doll was stolen. It happened after the event. It wasn't anything to do with Palestinians. Well, the reality, the mayor's office confirmed the baby Jesus statue was beheaded. So the mayor's office has said that. So clearly that's what happened. And it looks like it was linked with the Palestinian protest. So, but why does the media keep covering up the hatred of these people? Like, why not expose them? Yeah. Well, I think it's because we know that, Satan is at work, unfortunately, and that is in place within governments, within the media, within the pro-Palestinian lobby. We have to speak out against this, and we have to promote the truth, because, it's a dark world out there. There's a lot of evil, but at the same time, God is good. God is in control, and we need to stand against it, because we are on God's side, and we've read the end of the book. God wins in the end.
That's right. That's right.
So we need to be encouraged as well on this.
But also, this is a illustration that anti-Semitism is on the rise.
Yeah.
And we have seen that firsthand here at CUFI over the last 2 weeks, especially. I mean, we're used to receiving anti-Israel and anti-Semitic comments.
Yep.
But there has been an explosion of anti-Semitism on our social media, with comments, some of the most horrific comments that we have seen, actually.
Yeah.
And we've been very, very busy in not just removing those comments, but reporting those comments. I mean, we're talking about hundreds in a
possibly
space
thousands,
in a space of a few days. And we both commented that actually it's not sort of the typical generic bot-like quote Free Palestine comment, oh how original. No, these seem to be more tailored comments, more specific, more individualized, and just generally, from the pit. Hatred. And we've documented a couple of dozen of those comments and published them in an article. That article is available in the description of this podcast. We're not going to repeat the comments.
We don't want to get banned from YouTube
by YouTube because they are so horrific. But we decided to publish them in that article as a screenshot to show you the kind of comments that we have received. I must just stress that they have been removed and they have been reported to Facebook, but we've documented them for evidence purposes only. And so please do have a look at that article. Now, it is, I think, should strike us as Christians and should raise the alarm that this is the kind of anti-Semitic feeling that is out there directed towards Jews.
Yeah.
And the anti-Semite also sees Christians as part and parcel of their terminology, Zionist, and their hatred towards Zionists includes both Christians and Jews. And I think the example of what took place in Brussels exemplifies that.
Yeah.
But our heart goes out to the Jewish people because, we don't, we like to protect all of our supporters who are on social media from that, which is why we get rid of it very, very quickly. But I'm not saying this so that we have some sympathy or anything, but really just to show that actually to the Jewish community, we are identifying with the struggle that you are facing.
Yeah.
And so, as you said, quoted Pastor, if there's a line to be drawn, a circle to be drawn, let it be around Jews and Christians.
Yeah.
And so we need to be aware of this sudden, and I think it is exemplifies the very fact that there is a increase in anti-Semitism. We're seeing it. The Jewish community is seeing it. And it is linked, I believe, to the fact that there has been too much appeasement for far too long. There has been not enough actual condemnation. Instead of the media covering up the those who are doing this evil, if they are exposing it, perhaps it would be more successful in cutting down on the anti-Semitism.
Yeah.
But instead, it is just it's emboldening the anti-Semite, and we are now seeing the fruit of that.
Yeah, exactly. And also, it's at a time of relative peace. There is a ceasefire. You would think that there would be sort of a toning down of it, that people would relax a little bit, but no, actually we're seeing an amplification. We're seeing more animosity.
Which is always the trend.
Yes.
People think the anti-Semitism increases when Israel is at war with Gaza, although they don't quite frame it in that way.
Yeah.
But it's not, and not necessarily.
Yeah.
We see it actually at peacetime.
Yeah. It's when Israel is strong, the anti-Semitism seems weaker, sort of. Although I would say over the past 2 years, while Israel has been at war, there's been a lot of propaganda against Israel.
Yeah.
They've been falsifying information, using fake images and all the rest of it to try and paint Israel as the worst of the worst of the worst, when actually, that's not the case. But yeah, I do think it shows when there is what we would expect to be a dying down, actually is ramping up. Our work is, our reach has increased during this time rather than during the war. The hatred against us has increased during this time rather than during the war. So, yeah, I think there is just something to bear in mind there. But I also think we need to be, like I was saying before, we're not going to shy away from this. The reason why they're attacking us is to try and silence us.
Yes.
They're trying to make us fearful and to try and stop us from speaking the truth. And the thing is, we have to be aware that the mainstream media, the mainstream narrative, government narrative and so forth, is to paint Israel in a bad light.
Yeah.
And there was actually a study that was done where they were looking at the way the sort of capitulating to the mainstream narrative happens. And they had 15 people in a room, and they were all shown a red light and a blue light. And the first 14 people they had in that room, they were actors, and they made them say that both the lights were blue. And the 15th person was not an actor. They were the experiment. They were the guinea pig. And they were asked, did you see a red light, a blue light, or two? What did you see? And 80% of the time in this experiment, 80%, they followed the crowd. Wow. They lied and said they saw two blue lights rather than a red and a blue. When they did the experiment again, and one of the actors, the third actor, said red and blue, that changed so that by the end of the experiment, it was 40% said that they saw two. So what it is people are fearful of looking out of place. People, maybe they even think, oh, maybe I am seeing it wrong. Everyone else is seeing right. Whatever the case is. But when there's an element of truth being produced, the majority don't, they're not fooled by the lie.
That's very interesting.
And so it's and this is, something I saw someone using as a point in a different video. And I thought that just shows exactly what we're doing, why we're doing what we're doing. Because actually, when we speak the truth, we have, that little bit of light on this subject helps people to see the truth. And so, and it goes back to what we're talking about at the very beginning, when we're talking about people's hearts being changed. It's very easy in this world to be manipulated and deceived into hating the things of God in lots of areas, whether it's, anything biblical, lots of different subjects on it, but especially with Israel. And I think when you then listen to people who are speaking the truth, when you see the truth being broadcast there, it helps to stop that deception. And I think that's why what you're saying about the government handling this and speaking out against it, cracking down on hatred, them being silent is causing the hatred to rise.
Yeah.
The people seeing, if you go on social media or if you have a friends group, people are scared of talking about Israel because they know they've got a pro-Palestinian person who's very vocal in what they're saying. And that, I've got friends who are very pro-Palestinian, very vocal in what they're saying. They will shout down everyone else, kind of thing, and they won't let anyone else have an opinion. And so what that does is it cuts down speech. It cuts down other people talking about it because they're scared of talking about it because they don't want to have an argument. And so that's why I think we just have to, keep putting the truth out there, even if it's, our little social media group that's, people are connecting with, whether it's at church, one person just saying a prayer for Israel or something. Yeah. You don't even have to say anything controversial. Just say something, and you never know. Someone else in the church could come and speak to you, whether it's, with the events, holding pro-Israel events around the country. They're just small. Yes. They're little beacons of light in the big darkness of things. But all of these things act to get the truth out there and to help balance out the sort of the narratives, if you know what I mean. And that's why, we need to keep doing what we're doing, I think.
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. I agree. Well said. Well said. Well, you mentioned about the speaking engagements. We started with that.
Yep.
And what I didn't do was make the appeal that if you would like to invite a speaker from CUFI to come to your area, then please do follow the link, which is on the screen and in the description, or you can email us directly at events@cufi.org.uk. That's events@cufi.org.uk, or follow the link provided to complete a quick form to make that request. We must also mention, because we mentioned Christmas a couple of times, we do have a selection of Christmas cards available in the CUFI UK store. Sorry, Alex, I've not sent yours yet, but we do have a wonderful selection of different designs here at CUFI UK. These are exclusive to CUFI UK, and these are just a selection. But please do visit the store, which is store.cufi.org.uk, And we don't just have Christmas cards, we have candles, we have anointing oils, we have books, we have mugs, some wonderful stocking fillers, some lovely gifts to bless those that you love, your pro-Israel friends, and yes.
Yeah, it's a great way to support our work and bless someone else with a pro-Israel Christian message.
That's right. Well. All of the proceeds go towards the work of CUFI. So please do consider, even at this stage now, there is still time to order and receive from our store.
Yep.
The other thing to mention is that we have a very special, exclusive to CUFI, tree ornament.
Yep.
It is depicting the tree of life, and the wording is, "May this home be blessed with peace and joy." You can hang it from your tree if you have a tree, but if you don't have a tree, you can also put it on the wall because there's a hole there for the hook. So a wonderful thing as you enter the house. And again, this isn't available on our store, but it is available in appreciation of any donation that is made towards the work of CUFI UK. The link is on the screen. It is www.cufi.org.uk/ornament.
Yep. And yeah, this is designed in Israel and it is made exclusively for CUFI.
Yeah.
And it's great. This is, solid enameled ornament. And like you said, this is actually a great thing to put up on the wall, actually, as well as on the Christmas tree. So it's actually a year-long thing you can use it for. And it's a timeless message as well. So, we do encourage you to get it because it's very good. Very good.
Have you ever thought of doing a TV shopping channel?
Sometimes
in the evenings.
We do that, don't we?
In the evenings, I think you'd make it quite good on that.
There you go.
Well, thank you very much for your support. That is all. We do have time for Alex needs to go and submit his application to QVC. But until next time, may the Lord be with you and bless you. Thank you for listening. Let us know your thoughts and comments, and we will see you next time. Bye-bye.